Hello and welcome to today's DKW show. We're talking, does money bring happiness? Is there joy in that Gucci bag and Mercedes Benz? Do you get really happy when you've reached that high profile job or your business is booming and as a result your health, your family and your love life doesn't really matter? Well, that's what we're going to be discussing on today's DKW show, and I've got my fantastic co-hosts with me. I'm not alone in the studio. And take a look at this video to see what's coming up. So as I said, I'm not alone in the studio today. I've always got my lovely co-hosts that make me giggle and laugh with today's topic. But I've got the lovely sensational Sam.
Thank you. I'm actually loving that sensational Sam. It sounds fabulous.
Kim. Missing you, Kim. It's been a while since I've been with you.
I love being with you, so I'm going to be courageous today.
That's it, money. You need to be courageous with money, actually. And we've got the magnificent Melissa. Hi, Mel.
Hi.
Ladies, you know what? I'm going to dive straight into this one. Money. Do you think money can bring you happiness? Come on, let's be honest.
Can I jump in first?
Yeah, I don't want the whole cliche. La, 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 la. I want you to be honest. Do you think money brings happiness?
Yes.
Yes?
Well,
no?
yes. I mean, it brings me happiness.
Okay.
Because I love to spend, I like to buy nice things, but I'm on two ways. I'm on the fence for this one.
Because you're not allowed, only me. I'm the only one allowed.
Well, I just think that for some people it doesn't, and I have a reason why I'm saying that. Once upon there's an area where I used to park my car, and there used to be a streetless person there, and this one winter I kept seeing him there. And I felt really compassionate for him one day because it was so cold. And I decided to go over to him and ask him, would you like me to give you something? I don't normally give people on the street money. But this day I decided to go to him, give him and offer him some money to buy himself a cup of tea because it was freezing. And he just said to me, he doesn't need my money. He doesn't need a cup of tea. He doesn't need anything. He doesn't like money. So for some people, money just doesn't make them happy.
Okay, that's a rather odd person.
It is.
There you go, Kim.
Well, I think money can solve certain problems. So I think the problems that money can solve can lead to happiness.
All right, well, that's a very courageous answer right there. A very prim and proper one. Well, I want to find out what the people of London had to say about this and what they thought. We have our reporter Jennifer Lon out on the streets of London asking, does money really bring happiness?
Do you think money is happiness, and why?
If you're incredibly poor and then suddenly someone gives you a lot of money, then I'd say that would make you incredibly happy. So in that sense, I think money is happiness. But you see a lot of very rich people are very miserable as well. So
Not so.
I guess maybe not always.
It's a subjective statement, and I think money isn't happiness. I'm pretty sure happiness is just being with the ones you love and doesn't mind whether you have the money or not.
Money is not happiness, but what money does is it makes it more comfortable to live. But if you're relying on money to make you happy, you're never going to be happy.
So what do you think the secret of happiness is then?
Contentment, basically. Far too many of us are always trying to run around and get something we're never going to get. And I don't think most of us even know what we're trying to get.
Yeah, true.
Peace with yourself. Self-peace.
Okay.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, inner peace, that's fine.
Absolutely, that's what I was looking for. Inner peace, yeah.
And if you're a millionaire, what do you think you would do?
I'd buy an island and live in total seclusion and not have to worry about all the grief that usually gets dished out at us in the news and the metro and all that.
And just sort of, sit in my Rolls Royce and, feels like a Rolls Royce costs about £500,000, doesn't it? So I don't even know if that's if that would be affordable. If I was a millionaire, well, yeah. I mean, if I was a millionaire, I'd probably be trying to save up a few more pennies to maybe buy a one-bedroom flat in somewhere around here?
Well, first I would invest in a bunch of things so I get more money.
Yeah.
But yeah. So another thing, maybe go on holidays. Yeah. And spend all of it on your family members and your loved ones.
So that's what the viewers of London were saying. Some were saying yes, some were saying no. But I'm going to throw a question to you, ladies, quickly before we go into our traditional red card, green card game. If you was a millionaire, would you be happy? And what would you spend your millions on? Who wants to go first?
I think I would be happy with $1 million, and I think I would spend. I would invest, and I do like to give. So I think I'd be sharing a lot of my money with my family, friends, but invest in buying property and things like that. So yeah, I think that in my case, I just think that money can help to motivate you. So it gives you something to achieve.
Sam, I'm talking about that joy, that contentment, that happiness, that peace at night when you lay your head to rest. Can money give you that? That's what I want to know. Like, in fact, before I go to you, I want to go to you, Melissa, because you're quite adamant. You said yes straight off. So if you was a millionaire, would you be happy, and what would you do with your millions?
Well, I'd like to think I'm already happy. I am already happy, but I would buy property again, as Sam said, and I would invest definitely. I'm a businesswoman, so I would definitely invest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kim, millionaire Kim, what would she do?
I think the first thing that would make a difference for me is how I got the million.
All right.
If I worked hard and I had an idea or an investment or something and I made $1 million, I think that would make me happy because it would be like a measure of success.
Yes.
If I got $1 million from like the lottery or something like that, I'm not sure that would exactly make me happy because that would have been all that money quite suddenly.
Yeah.
So I think that would affect my happiness because it might affect the way I would spend the money.
Right. And you know, it's funny that you say that because I think statistically, producers, you need to correct me on this and so on, but a lot of millionaires who get their money from the lottery, they end up being broke again within a short period of time.
That is true.
So I guess it's very important how you get the money. So, you know, let me go to red card, green card and pick your brains, ladies. You know how it is. Red card means no. Green card means yes. So, first question for you. Is money then power? Green card, yes. Red card, no. Is money power? All of you. Okay, I want to find out why. I'm sure there's a viewer out there who's a no, so I'm going to be no. Why would you say money is power? Who wants to go first, seeing as you're all green?
Because let's be honest, when you've got money, that's when people want to hear from you because you have the ability to change things, to do things. Mm-hmm. People, without being rude, people who wants to hear from a poor person.
Exactly.
That's the truth.
Totally agree with you there.
Then wouldn't you argue it's not necessarily about the money, it's about who the person is and how they deal with their money that makes them powerful? Because I've seen a lot of people, especially my mum owns businesses and there's people that she's worked alongside with that, you know, they're absolutely powerless because they have all of this money, but they're not knowledgeable or wise in the way that they invest their money or the way they even spend their money, i.e. they become alcoholics because they can't deal with the amount of money they have. So they are, in a sense, quite powerless. And unfortunately, some people are actually free riding off of them and taking advantage of them. So they're not as powerful as they are with their money.
But you can't put a blanket policy on everything. There's always going to be people like that. But then at the same time, if you're going to try and talk to me, for example, about business and all of those things, and I look at you and you're poor, then what are you saying for yourself? You're not able to practice what you're preaching.
And then it makes you wonder about their mindset. What kind of mindset do they have exactly if they are poor and not challenging life to achieve these things?
This is how human beings are. You know, you look at people. If people want to preach to you or tell you something, then you are going to automatically, this is how we are, you're automatically going to look at their life and look at their, well, what example are you setting? Tell me, what about you? What have you done? Okay. Everybody wants to know that.
So then my next question for you guys is money then freedom? Does money give you the freedom that you need to do what you need to do in life? Green card, yes. Red card, no. Oh, okay. Two reds and a green. Kim, why do you say no then?
I think money has responsibilities.
Right.
Okay, so money can't necessarily. So what was it again? It was
Like, does it bring freedom?
It-
Yeah.
no, because it doesn't bring the freedom because the money has the responsibilities. So you're not free with it. You can't do what you want because when you are a person with money and authority,
Yeah.
you have to look at the way that people will also look at you.
Right.
So you have a responsibility. If you're frivolous with your money, it's distasteful, it's disgusting when you know that other people don't have. And if you do have money, you've got to think, okay, am I investing it? How is my personal persona? Am I giving to charity? So you're not free. You have responsibility that comes with that money.
Okay, but Mel, you
I
say...
think, yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, these are such kind of vague questions that when you said, does money bring freedom, straight away for me, I honestly believe it does because I can say in my own example, I'm not a rich person, but I am now at the point where I'm financially independent. And because of that, I am free to make certain decisions that I couldn't make when I had to hold down a certain job or I had to turn up for things because I needed that money, you know. So I feel like I'm a lot more free now, free to spend quality time with the people that I love, free to be able to choose to live in a different country for a year if I want to, which I've actually done, free to invest in different things. So I think it brings freedom in a lot of different ways.
So then my last question to you, ladies, is do you think money can buy love? Green card, yes. Red card, no. Okay, so I'm going to be on the side of the fence, green and red, for that viewer at home, and I'll give my answers why. Who wants to go first as to why you say no?
No, I don't. The reason why I think it can't buy you love is because when you do have money, people do, as everyone's been saying, treat you differently.
Right.
And sometimes because of the way people treat you differently, you could have a false security that people actually do love you and do appreciate you because of your money.
Yeah.
And so you may think because of your money that you have this love and this respect, but if you peel away all that money and it's just you, would people really love you?
It's a very good point, but wouldn't you say, like a few decades ago, when there were things like arranged marriages, people would also, or families, when picking a suitable partner, would look into their financial status, how responsible they were and how much money they earned, because they wanted to give their young person who was going to get married to that other person a more stable future. So, and eventually love would then come into the play.
But
So it wasn't
the love eventually
would you call
came,
that
yeah.
love? Would
Yeah.
you really
Would you,
call that
you wouldn't
love?
call that love? No?
No, I
So what,
No,
would you,
I wouldn't.
so what would you
I
define
wouldn't.
love? Because maybe the person originally could be looking at that person thinking, you know, I can build a stable home, a stable family with them, and obviously love would eventually come along down the line.
Yeah, but to be honest with you, I think that whilst that's a major factor in, you know, women, often we want security in a man, in a partner. Nobody wants a deadbeat. If you're not going to go look after me, I mean, what would I do with you? That's the truth.
Yeah.
But is that the one thing that you're going to look at? No, because you still have to be able to get along with that person, to enjoy that person, to, you know, find that person funny, to, you know, have all the other
because there's
qualities.
so much more to love.
There's so much more, but that is a major thing, of course, you know, but it's not the thing.
Well,
basically.
you know what? We're going to go into more of this after the break, and we're also going to have a wonderful financial advisor with us, Rowena Griffiths, who's going to tell us a bit more about how we can use and spend our money wisely. I should throw this question at her too. Do you think money can buy love? So stay tuned with us, and we'll be back after this break.
Uplifting. Diverse. Vibrant. Dynamic.
Powerful. Youthful. Informative.
Energizing. Passionate.
Motivational. Freedom. Lively.
Excitement.
Hi, ladies and gents that may be watching the show. Welcome to DKW. We're talking is money happiness, and we have a lovely financial advisor with us, Rowena Griffiths. Rowena, it's lovely to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you.
Rowena, you know, we've been talking is money happiness. Before I throw some questions at you, just tell us a little bit more about yourself and the work that you do.
Yes, I'm a chartered financial planner, which means basically I help people with their finances, mainly pensions and investments, but also all sorts of other areas, such as protecting their family to make sure that if anything should happen to them, their family's well provided for financially. So what I call holistic financial planning.
Nice. So then, I just want to throw the main question out before we delve into the finances. Is money happiness? Do you think money can bring happiness at all?
Well, extensive research has been done in this area. By people far more intelligent than me, whole universities in America and so on. And it does show that people who are well off are actually happier on average than those who are struggling financially.
Wow!
I would think that. I would think that.
I did say.
I would think that.
However, it depends what you do with the money.
So there you go.
Just sitting at home with a huge bank balance is not enough. And again, studies show that if you rush out and buy yourself another pair of shoes, that's not really, it'll make you happy for a short while.
5 minutes.
But
Temporary fix.
yes,
Temporary
but
fix.
if you say give to charity, help out your friends, treat your family, maybe have a lovely, lovely holiday, then that experience stays with you so much longer.
Yeah. So, ladies, I'm going to throw it at you. Which questions do you want to ask our lovely Rowena?
Okay, well, I would like to ask you, how did you get into financial planning?
Well, that's an interesting question because I actually just fell into it accidentally.
As you do.
Nowadays there are degree courses and so on and so forth, but this was 23 years ago and I'd been made redundant. My degree is actually in biochemistry.
Wow!
Which doesn't really help. I'd been made redundant. I was looking around and the banks were doing a lot of recruitment in financial services. So I stepped into it and, 23 years later, here I am. I'm now chartered, running my own business.
Wow, that's amazing.
Good achievement.
I mean, what type of people do, actually comes to see? I mean, who should see a financial planner, really?
Well, I suppose everyone at some point in their life, because people in their 20s really ought to be saving for a deposit. If you look at how much money you spend in rent over your entire life, it's a heck of a lot of money and it's just basically down the drain. So people in their 20s may be looking at mortgage advice, saving for a deposit. Then maybe in their 30s they've had children and they need to see if something happens to them, is the family protected?
Right.
Then maybe in your 40s you're looking towards your own retirement, saving or funding for education for your children. And then in retirement, again, there's a huge need for advice because the Chancellor, George Osborne, has just made some huge changes to pensions that mean you can cash them all in.
I'm interested to hear this, aren't we?
Could you break down pensions for me? Because I remember at one point I was at uni and there was this whole big malarkey about our mentor being like, don't save for a pension because by the time you guys are at the age for a pension, the inflation rates will be so high and then you'll be getting tuppence per a week. So what is your...
we want your opinion on this, don't we, girls?
What is your opinion on pensions and what do we do?
Well, think of pensions just like anything else, like a bank account that is actually tax-free. But if you save £80 into the bank account, that's what goes in. If you put £80 into a pension, the government puts £20 in for you.
Right.
So you're getting tax relief. It grows tax-free, so it's not like the bank account where they're taking off the interest.
That I didn't know.
And you can invest in a whole range of things, so virtually anything you want to. In the pension, so it's not just sitting in cash.
Yeah.
And now the Chancellor has announced that if you want to, you can cash the whole lot in at age 55. So I think that, so I think that used to put people off, saving in pensions because they felt, well, gosh, I save all my life and then I drop dead at age 56 and it's gone. But I think this is a huge, huge positive change.
Wow, okay, brilliant.
Do you think people need more than one pension?
It depends, really.
Depends on the...
If you've got one pension that allows you to do absolutely anything, then that's fine. And there are those sort of pensions around that allow you to invest in gold bars or commercial property or cash.
Really?
But other pensions are quite specific, and they're very limited. So you might think, well, I'll have one of those. Perhaps one through your work if you're working and employed.
Because naturally people have a work one.
Yes.
But this in addition,
you can
would
have
they
another
need
one.
another one, or would it be advice? I mean, that's what people would probably come to you to find out.
Absolutely.
Do they need to know? That's what I would ask.
Yes,
if I
absolutely.
came to you.
Nowadays, you can have both. And that really does depend on your circumstances, what you're looking to achieve, your attitude to risk, all of those sort of things.
So another question that I also wanted to ask is, for a young person, let's say someone in their 20s, and then I'll give the same example to someone in their 30s and 40s, how do they set up some sort of budget? What would they do? So, for example, you mentioned the young person, it's best for them to start saving up for a deposit so that they can get themselves into a home. So what would be a rough idea of a budget? What do they look at, or where do they start?
Well, it's a good question, but it's a very personal thing.
Okay.
So what you need to do is sit down with your bank account, bank statement, and look at what's coming in and what's going out.
Right.
Now, if what's going out is more than what's coming in, then you have a bit of a problem there. You need to make some adjustments. And if, on the other hand, it's balancing out, then obviously you don't have any surplus to save. So again, you need to sort of budget more carefully. Then, if your income exceeds your expenditure, then you should be looking at setting that aside, and don't rely on yourself to do it monthly. It's quite a temptation to go shopping at the end of the month if there's money there. Just switch it out at the beginning of the month so that it's going into a saving account, and then just think of that. That's my money that's ring-fenced for the property.
Nice. Sorry, go on, Melissa.
Oh no, I just wanted to ask, what do you think are the main obstacles that women face in dealing with their finances?
Men.
Interesting.
Would you like to elaborate on that?
Well, traditionally, men have always looked after finances, and in fact, 9 out of 10 financial advisors are male.
Really?
So that goes to prove the point. And lots of relationships break down. Obviously, no one wants to think about that at the beginning of a relationship, but it's something like, 50% of marriages end in divorce. And you really do have a problem if, say, your husband's run up debts you know nothing about, and there you are, splitting up, and that really is a difficult issue. So it is important, I think, to seek financial advice of your own. Have your own financial advisor, just so that you have your own assets, and you can see a financial advisor on your own. You don't have to do it jointly.
Yeah. One other question I wanted to ask is debts. Now, you mentioned the shopping thing, i.e. store cards, you've got store cards, overdrafts and credit cards. If you've got a person who's in debt at the moment and they want to get themselves debt-free as quickly as possible, what would you say are the main tips for them to do this in a healthy way and rather quickly?
I think to go back to the budgeting, basically, just to say, look, I'm not going to have a holiday this year. The money I set aside for the holiday, I'm going to put that towards the debt. But also look on a monthly basis at saying, right, there we have £300 a month. I know I can pay it off, and set yourself a target to do that by, say, the end of the year. And cut it up, because, there's no point in paying it off and then building it up again.
Yeah, it's true. One other thing as well that I did want to ask is things like ISAs and tax-free savings and so on. What are they and how do they work? Because you mentioned savings. So say I want to start saving, I've got enough surplus for me to put away for some time. How do I get into those kind of things and products?
Well, an ISA would be perfect for a young person looking to save for a deposit for a home, because you can actually save £15,000 a year in a cash ISA in your bank. So you basically just look at the internet, find the best rate, maybe open it up online, and get one that's instant access. The rates of interest are all very, very low at the moment. There's nothing really we can do about that. They might be low for some time to come, but it's tax-free, and it's there, for you to draw on when you need to.
Brilliant stuff. Ladies, I feel like I'm hugging Rowena. I've got so many questions I want to ask going.
Have you ever had people come to you who you just thought, I really can't help you.
Oh, definitely.
Really?
I always say, absolutely, I always say, let's have a telephone conversation first.
Right.
Because if, say, someone wants to invest in something terribly high risk, then that's just not my area. So I would say...
High risk, what do you mean by high risk?
Well, it is possible to... There's some very tax-efficient savings schemes, but you could actually lose your money.
Okay.
Ooh.
So that's not for everyone. It is right for some people, but it's just not my area of speciality. So if someone wants that sort of advice, I'd say, go and speak to someone who specialises in that area, or maybe someone with debt. So if on the phone they say, well, I want to start saving, I want a pension, and I've got this credit card debt, I say, look, go away and pay off the debt, because I have done this in the past, that I've set up a pension. The client has said, I will pay off this credit card debt, and then when we meet in a year's time,
They haven't done it.
they haven't done it. So you do learn to say, look, go away and pay that off.
Right. So then my question for you then is, what happens if the person has the pension and they've got the debt? Where does the problem lie? Because if they've made money even on the pension, couldn't they take some of that money away and put it to clear off
Towards their debt.
Yeah.
Not unless they're age 55. So
That's the thing,
that is the thing. And the debt could be rolling up at possibly like 30% interest per year.
30%?
Possibly, yes, as high as that. Yes, some of these store cards really are charging a lot of interest, and
they
your
are
pension.
dangerous.
Your pension, even if the government has given you 20%, might not have grown at 10%. So it really
Yes.
doesn't make sense to do that.
So Rowena, before we go, I just wanted to quickly ask you, what would be your main 3 tips for the ladies and viewers out there to start budgeting and financial planning?
I think it's what you said, to start budgeting, to sit down. It is painful sometimes to look at your bank statements, but sit down and start budgeting. Say, well, look, every month so far I've been shopping. I mustn't do that. I mustn't, go shopping every month. I'm not saying don't go shopping at all, but try to have a budget. And if your expenditure is exceeding your income, do something about that and start saving. The first thing you should have is a cash reserve, which is there for a rainy day or, an emergency. And huge numbers of people, I forget the statistics, don't have any form of cash reserve at all.
When you say cash reserve, that's like a savings account of some sort?
Yes, just money that's sitting there. It's not doing very much, but it's your sort of security blanket. If anything goes wrong,
I'm
it's
just
there.
thinking, as you're saying that, I've also been experiencing myself, because my father was very, very ill. And even friends that I've spoken about, when you reach in senior age and become very unwell in your later age, you've retired, you become very ill. And maybe you have your own home, your own property, your own assets and savings and things like that. I find it, one I've been hearing, for example, a person who's maybe they haven't worked, they have no assets, they've reached an elderly age and they have nothing compared to a person who has assets. How do a person who has the asset, become that age and protect what they have against their health, financial bill that attaches to them somehow when they become old?
I think it's planning early because, for example, a lot of people don't have a will. And I think if you're in very poor health, the last thing you want to start doing is writing a will. Whereas if you're in good health, it's relatively painless. So put that in place. And maybe take out a policy which, if you become ill, will pay out a lump sum. Now, that wouldn't be suitable for someone elderly because they tend to just cover you until age 65. But when you're younger, if you take that out. And then things like pensions now are absolutely fantastic. The new pension changes allow you actually to pass on your pension through the generations, so it's not lost.
So you mean pass on to your children? Yes. Really? Oh. That's something new.
That's great.
Absolutely.
Well, and you know what? We've run out of time now, and we'll have to go to a break. But Rowena, it was absolutely fantastic having you on. I've learned a lot. It was very, very informative. Thank you. We'll be back after the break with some more tips on how you can financially budget, and we're also going to be here with the ladies picking our brains, figuring out, is money really happiness? So stay tuned.
The UCKG Helpline Call Centre is open 24 hours a day, every day of the week, all year round. If you need help due to a serious problem you may be going through, if you feel that you have nowhere to turn to and desperately need someone to lend a listening ear, then we can help you. It doesn't matter who you are or what you have done, your religion or race, your call will be answered by someone who genuinely cares about you and has your best interests at heart. We also arrange home visits for the housebound and hospital visits for anyone in great need of kindly human contact. Whether it is simply information you want or desperately need someone to talk to, we're here for you on 0207 686 6000.
Hi and welcome back to our show. We're talking Does Money Buy Happiness? And in this segment, we're going to go to a rather exclusive hairdressers called Harry's. Now, if you do have that money and you want that little bit of happiness, if I can say, at least you can get your hair done by a well-known hairdresser who has done hairdressing for Emily Blunt, Gillian Anderson. I have to read the list, by the way. Benedict Cumberbatch and Sienna Miller. So that's quite a prestigious bunch of celebs there.
Definitely.
So take
Serena
a look.
Miller,
I'm
even.
telling you.
Gosh.
So take a look at this hair salon.
I'm here at Harry's prestigious hair salon. I'm about to get my hair done. It's where the rich and famous come, and I don't feel out of place.
I like my length, but I am a bit bored, but I'll trust you. So how long have you been a hairstylist?
I've been working here almost 20 years.
Oh wow, they're doing something right.
Yeah, Harry manages to keep his staff. I mean, I think some of the longest runners so far have been here about 30 years.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So
did you colourists have been here for a long time.
Did you train here then?
No, I went to the College of North East London for 2 years. I did hairdressing for a full-time course, and then I came here and I was Harry's junior for a year. I did work side by side with him.
And what do you love most about being a hairstylist?
I suppose about no 2 days are the same really. You never really know who's going to come in or what they're going to be like or hair. You know, everyone's hair's different.
Yeah.
Everyone's personality is different. I mean, you could do the same haircut on 50 people, it'd be completely different on everyone.
Oh yeah.
Because everyone's hair type's different, obviously facially, and also like what they do, the lifestyle and stuff. Everyone's just so sort of one extreme to the other really here. Which is what I really like. A lot of the time it's not about the haircut anyways, people just want somebody to talk to.
Yeah, they say that hairdressers come with like counselling skills.
Yeah. Because when Harry retired, he retired when he was 60, so he retired about 3 or 4 years ago. I know quite a few of his clients, I've been obviously working here a long time. And some of them, like, he recommended to come to me, you know, I can't replace Harry, because it's nothing to do with the haircut. You know, Harry's seen them through 3 children, 2 divorces, schooling, this, that and the other, you know. It's all down to the building up a rapport and knowing each other's lives. You know, getting to know somebody.
It's trust, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is trust, hairdressing.
Thank you, Chelm. I love it. I feel like a celebrity actually with this. It feels a lot lighter. I'm really, really pleased.
There's our lovely
fabulous.
Jennifer Long looking absolutely fabulous. But ladies, you know, money isn't always happiness, as we have been learning. I am slightly changing my tune, but I'm allowed to be on the fence. But, you know, if you don't have money, what can you do as an attraction? Because maybe you might not be the millionaire and you can't go on those exclusive holidays or 5-star in Monaco or Bahamas or whatever. Yeah. But I'm sure there might be other things that people can do to stay happy.
Yeah, definitely.
Certainly.
Especially in London, in this city that we're in here. I mean, I'm sure that every city's got its attractions, but there's so many things that you can do, especially in the summer. You know, there are beautiful parks that you can go to. We have a lot of museums here that are free. There are different experiences that you can have, that you can just enjoy nature. You know, just London itself is just...
London
you can walk around the city and just be
is
entertained.
amazing.
But then, you know, just to throw it at you, if you don't live in London, and say, for example, you do live in an area that doesn't have many attractions and so on and so forth. And on
London.
And on the flip side, you do have a lot of money. That's where people go into what I call binge spending, where, for example, to get that little bit of happiness, maybe it's their trip down to their local shopping centre and then they're in Armani and then they're in Gucci and then they're in the Prada and they're constantly buying things to have that sort of happiness. What can they do to alleviate that? Because wouldn't you say that's a root or a different kind of problem there?
I think that's where the inner happiness is not there, and I think that is part of it. I think you do have to have. I remember one of the persons on the interviews. They said inner peace. You do have to have that inner peace, and you have to be well within yourself, really, to have happiness. And I think when you have that, you can enjoy money a lot more.
The problem is that sometimes the lack of money takes away the inner peace.
That's what I was just
about. So this is the issue here.
Okay.
But I do think that we've all been there, where we've kind of done a bit of retail therapy to make ourselves feel better. And it does work. But if you're constantly doing that, then you're never going to find... it's not going to fill whatever void you're trying to fill.
So it's not permanent happiness.
It's not permanent at
temporary.
all. But I think it's nice to try and have, you know, experiences that bring that kind of contentment. And often it is spending quality time with the people that you love, you know, getting something positive, doing something positive. For some people, even volunteering to help other people out, brings them that inner contentment. And I think it's things like that, experiences, things that are memorable, things that mean something more than just a material thing that could, you know, next year will be broken. But rather things that you can remember, that you can draw from, that you can learn from. Those are the kind of things that tend to bring more contentment, I think.
I mean, I do think that the key word that everyone's saying here is contentment. I think with happiness, as you talked about retail therapy, a pair of shoes, a pair of shoes. If you've got nowhere to wear it, what's the point?
That's a very good point.
You buy things, and if you don't have friends and family to spend it with and to wear it and enjoy it makes no sense. So it's all about having the people around you, the situations that can make you happy. London is an amazing place. There's so many things that you can do in London that doesn't cost anything. But saying that, unless you have somebody with you, or if it's children, family, voluntary, it doesn't make any difference.
You know, I want to spin this question out to you ladies. When does money, if I could say, suck the happiness out of relationships? Because, like, we've been talking on the whole thing that money doesn't buy happiness and so on. So if that's the case, if you're in a relationship now and the money has run out, and, for example, you are the main breadwinner, where does the happiness then come in? That's what I wanted to... Because, you know, I feel like that's a problem with many relationships. That's where the strain comes in, and especially when you do have the children in the family. That whole money isn't a happiness thing sometimes does become a little bit cliche.
And I think it will bring a strain on whatever relationship. I think it will bring financially, if you're going through a financial problem in your family, in your relationship, I think it will bring a strain. But this is why it's important not to base the relationship entirely on money.
Right.
Because the truth is, we can all land in a situation where we lose finance or we end up in some kind of financial problem and things like that. But, you know, my personal situations, I've been in financial problems before.
Yeah.
And I can think of situations where it did bring such a strain, on the marriage, where my husband's having to work even harder, or even myself doing extra things to make money, extra investments to bring in more money. But because of the type of relationship that we both have and the quality, the investment that we put into our marriage and our love, it helps us to work together, that when that problem arises, it doesn't destroy us, or it doesn't destroy the marriage. And I think that, for me, is really, really important for any relationship.
Yeah. I was going to say, not having money, valuable lessons can be learned even for children.
Right.
If a situation where the parents don't have money, sometimes the children have to be learned to say no. You need to be able to say no to them. Yeah. And you can also be in a situation where you can say to them, this is why you need to work hard, so that when you can have money, and once you can have money, you'll appreciate it. Yeah. And Samantha correctly said, if you're in a relationship and you are going through financial problems, that's the point when the two of you can band together and work hard and work your way out of that situation, and it will prove more than anything about the bond of love that you have.
Exactly.
So actually, not having money, not forever, for certain situations, can actually have its benefits.
Yeah, and even I love that what you said about teaching the children, because you can teach your children so much, as what Kim is saying, in both scenarios, whether you have money or don't.
Can I just say something? I think that when you're in a relationship and there are money struggles, I think the problem is when you can't when it doesn't look like there's a way out of that problem.
You can't unravel.
And when you feel that the other part is maybe not doing
as much as they could
to change that situation, I think that's when the frustration comes. When, because sometimes in the relationship there might be a month where everything is great, you've gotten more than enough, and then you've had to do something or something's happened, and okay, for a little while that's going to affect us. That's different, because you know that you're going to work your way out of it. Something, you guys have a plan, and then in that time, because of your love for each other, you know that, okay, that's not going to rule the relationship. Okay, we'll enjoy the simple things in life together. We'll still enjoy our time together. We're not going to go out for a meal. We'll just get some, bit of chicken, cook it in the house, get a candlestick, have a home thing. Yeah. But if you're in a situation where you feel like this is never ending and I just don't know how to get out of it, and you feel that you haven't got that support from the other person, that's when I think the strain really
So then, ladies, we're going to delve into this more after the break, because I really want to get into the nitty-gritty and to help the viewers out there to find out whether or not happiness equals money and money equals happiness, if both of them are synonymous. So stay tuned.
Once upon a time, there was Alice. She enjoyed a drink, her one simple pleasure. She could stop when she wanted, downing a little more for good measure. At work, concealed bottles and extra strong mints were the game. The warm, happy feeling was fading and giving way to shame. The months and days became a blur of hospital lights. Married to a heavy drinker, her prince was charming, apart from the violence, arguments and fights. On the kitchen floor, she comes to. She hears, "Mum, this is hurting me more than it's hurting you." The alcohol was plentiful, but had dried up all the laughter. She sat alone and pondered, can I really have a happily ever after? Living with an addiction is no fairy tale, but a life with addictions is a story that can be rewritten. Addiction Cleansing Therapy. If you are struggling with any type of addiction, speak to us on our 24-hour helpline. Call 020 7686 6000 or head to addictioncleansingtherapy.org to watch the true stories of regular people like Julie who took action to beat their addictions. Act for change.
You know, we're having a bit of a discussion here on the show. Is money happiness? And during the break, the ladies were at me like, you know, it can, it can't. And I want to hear your opinion. Let's go back to the nitty-gritty of things. Ladies, does money equal happiness?
Right. Now, as I was saying in the break, I wouldn't say that money equals happiness, but definitely, without a doubt, money can make you happy. Now, every individual, it's up to the individual what they decide to do with money in order to bring that happiness.
Right.
And sometimes, obviously, if you are going to have money and be just buying material things, your happiness is going to run out. But money can give you the ability to do the things that make you happy, to do the things that bring happiness.
And let's be realistic as well here, because we know for a fact that so many relationships are broken because of lack of finance or money problems. We hear it every single day. I was actually speaking with, counselling a woman, and her problem was that the young man, her husband, basically, lost his job, couldn't get work for some time, and went on for years and years not working, being at home, while she was going to work, you know, she became the breadwinner, where it was in reverse. And it took a big strain on the marriage. I mean, the relationship broke down, and the relationship was destroyed because of that. So it does happen.
Can I just give you why I say this? Because I have my own personal journey with lack of money, and then the not so lack of money.
You've had the two sides of the coin.
Now, when I started out, well, I used to work for a really prestigious company, and I was earning quite a good wage, and I was able to do a lot of things, etc. But I was working long hours, and it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. And I ventured into opening my own business, and in the beginning, it was really tough because I had to cut back on a lot of things, and I knew that I'd already mentally prepared myself for that.
That's a very good point, the mental preparation.
Yeah, definitely. I knew
think
that,
sometimes when you run out of money, there's no mental preparation that you're going to actually be broke. But I'd already, you know, okay, I'm not going to be going on trips to Fortnum and Mason and what have you for a little while, and, you know, I'd already prepared for that.
You started to budget more.
Yeah. And but even though I had prepared for that, it was really hard, you know, not being able to afford to buy a new outfit. Even sometimes when I had an event, I'd end up customizing clothes because I just couldn't buy a new dress and stuff like that. And it was, although it didn't make me suicidal or anything, it was like a real kind of down time in my life. And even relatives noticed, and they were like, "Oh, you're not like how you were before." And, you know, I had quite a hard time with it because I couldn't afford the things that I used to be able to afford in the lifestyle. And yeah, it was quite a strain. But as I, you know, started to develop in my business and things started to grow, I not only, you know, was having a better financial life, but obviously I was doing also what I wanted to do. So those things brought me contentment, but then they also brought me the freedom to be able to travel, to experience new things. And it was on an unusual trip to a different country that I met my husband. And then I was able to live in another country with him for a period of time, and I was able to come back here. But at the time when I was living with him in another country, I was still running my business here. I had money coming in from here. He had his own business where we were. So all of that really made life a lot easier, and it did help. It made us content. And now I'm back here, we're here, we're both working, we're both doing what we enjoy doing. We're able to travel, we're able to, you know, spend quality time together, and all of that brings contentment. So that is why I say that money definitely can bring happiness, because if I was still struggling, and I'd be a lot more stressed, and we wouldn't have time to spend together. You know, I wouldn't have time to spend with the people that I love. You know,
so your money, it actually made you value your finance, your money, with your experience, made you value money much more.
Well, yeah, I mean, it definitely. I would say I've always valued money, but I guess it's given me a different outlook, because it wasn't kind of, when I first started, it was like, I want to be able to afford this and do that and buy the things I used to. But then on that journey, I realised that actually money brings a lot more than that. It's not just about being able to go back to Fortnum and Mason's and go to shop in the places that I used to shop. It was much more than that. When I look at my journey, I can see how becoming financially independent has enabled me to have the experiences that I would not otherwise have had. And
Yeah.
that's the truth.
So then you're basically saying money can bring you a certain standard or quality of life that would then equal to happiness.
And I think a quality of life is important. What do you think, Kim? I think we need it as women.
I wanted to possibly just share an experience myself of financial problems. I remember when I was probably about 11 years old, and my parents decided to take up the decision to go back and live in the West Indies.
Right.
So from living from quite a good life in England to going to the West Indies. Now, I think that it was just like a rash decision for them. They didn't really plan it very well. And when we went out there, we did experience at first a lot of financial problems.
Wow.
They were out there trying to build a house and things that we were used to having, basic things. We didn't have it, and it was real hardship not having the shoes you wanted to wear to school, not having the necessities. I remember I was even going to a private school at the time. But one day my parents couldn't pay the fees and I got sent over the tannoy. The kids who couldn't pay the school fees.
How horrid.
Got sent home. That was a really hard time for us. But I don't regret it, because what it did, it changed us as people, me and my sisters as people, because from that time we decided, okay, what we're going to do to make money. And me and my sisters, we started a business out there. Wow. And we used to run a dance school out there.
Really?
When I first started running the dance school, I was 11 and my sister was 16. And from the experience we had from England, we used to go to a stage school back in England. So what we had learnt, we went and my aunt had an English school where she taught Spanish students English. Right. And so she gave us the workspace, and we started to just give out leaflets and...
At 16 and 11?
I was 11 at the time, and we would start running dance classes, and we were really quite good at it. And from there, we started to make money, and I was able to pay for myself to go to private school.
Really?
Yeah. And we used to get contracts from the government to do performances, to do classes, like events in our areas. They'd come to our dance school and they would ask us if we can do a performance for events that they were having. And from that horrible situation, because I can tell you it was really horrible, it made us start to think, okay, you have to work hard. And we worked hard. Even when I was at school, I never took education for granted, because I knew that if I didn't study hard, I know what life can be without, and I knew what it is. I knew what it was to be without, not to have.
So it really
I mean, I say not to have, not even to have food, proper food sometimes. So I knew what it was not to have. So what it did, it was very, very motivating. So at school, I worked hard, and that education has really held me up until today. And that ability to go, and when we opened our business, until we came back to England, of course, we were able to make money. So that kind of drive that I learned from not having, it kind of stayed with me up until now. So even as a parent, I am a parent that I will tell my children no, and I will make, if they want something from me,
earn it.
I make them earn it.
Good for you.
That's a very good point, because you just
I love it.
of what my parents did to me. I mean, like I said, my mum has a business, and my dad, he was working for Coca-Cola Logistics at the time. So we were living quite decent and everything. But I remember as soon as I turned 15, and I got my NI number, my mum was like, right, you're not getting no more pocket money anymore, you're going out there to work. And I'll never forget it, because she sent me, I think my first job was in Greg somewhere. And it was so funny, because I wanted a pair of trainers and I couldn't buy the trainers because I had to work for it. And when I got my trainers, nobody could step near me.
I'm teasing you.
I swear.
You can do that.
It was my own person. And it's
worked
true.
for it.
I think it's not just about the actual money, the actual paper in itself, or the actual material assets that you get from having money. I think what it is, it's the value and what comes behind the money.
Yeah.
And also, having mentioned that, I don't know what you think, ladies, it's also, I think comparison comes alongside with it, because I think if you live a certain standard and then you see other people live in a certain standard and you compare yourself and you can't bridge that gap, that could make you quite miserable.
Yeah, I think that's the worst thing for anyone to be able to do, is to take that on, to start comparing themselves to others. Because what happens, they become more and more bitter, because they're instead of appreciating what they may have or what they can do with what they already have and enjoy maybe that holiday that you can afford to do, that you've paid yourself, not someone hasn't given it to you. You're looking at someone else who's doing a world's cruise or something, something
that's not so elaborate as yours.
Exactly. And I think this brings the person to start looking at themselves in quite an inadequate way, and then they begin to not value themselves. They start to covet against, and I think that's the worst thing anyone can actually do. And I think it's really important that you don't go down that road.
Yeah, and you know what? It even brings me to my conclusion, because we are coming towards the end of the show. I would say money doesn't equal happiness in itself. Money can help you have a better standard of life. It can help you have a good quality of life. It can even help improve your health in some aspects. But I wouldn't say that it brings happiness. I think the inner peace, the contentment, and having motivation and value within yourself can help you use that money wisely. Now, if you're in a financial disposition where you can't do the things maybe you like, perhaps look into yourself and see what you can do about it. Can you invest in yourself more? Can you perhaps go back to school? Can you perhaps pick up a hobby and turn it into a business? What can you do to change your situation, I think, is the key here. And who are you inside? Because if you've got a lot of money and you're still unhappy and you think that money equals happiness, then I think you're not looking at the root and you're looking at the wrong source for your happiness. So you need to correct that. I don't know if you'd agree, ladies.
Definitely, definitely. Starts inside out.
That's it, inside out, and make sure that money isn't everything. We've had a fantastic show. I've enjoyed myself thoroughly, ladies. Have you enjoyed
It's been a wonderful show. And thanks to our wonderful guest who was with us today. She was amazing.
Rowena, you were absolutely amazing. Well, lovely DKWers, we've come to the end of the show, so take care. Have a fab Sunday, from the ladies and us. Bye-bye.